Hello ladies and gents, welcome to FACEIT TV. I'm DDK, joined by Natus here today. I think Lurpus is en route. We've not lost contact, so I'll have to see if he ends up turning up. But it's the last day of FACEIT League, the online portion to see who's actually going to qualify for LAN, and there's a lot of possibilities to run through. How you doing, Natus?
I'm doing great. It's great to cast with you again. It's been, when was the last time? Stockholm?
It was Stockholm, yeah. So I guess like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Something like that.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, so let's check out the schedule today and see what matches we have going on. There's 5, and they're all going to be really good. And I can't wait to get to the standings, but I shouldn't get ahead of myself. So let's first of all check out what we got. So 2 NIP matches today. NIP starting to do quite well. We've got another another 3 Virtus.pro games, as you guys can see as well. Anything that stands out here for you? Anything that you're particularly looking forward to?
Well, I really am looking forward to that Virtus.pro Titan game, I think, on Train. I mean, VP, a phenomenally strong team on Train. Titan, I think, have a few points to prove. The last 2 times these teams played Train, Titan got destroyed off VP. So I feel like this is kind of a bit of blood in the water, maybe a bit of a grudge match coming in for this one. And of course, VP is the kind of team, Dan, that is so inconsistent that you never really know which version of them is going to show up on the day.
Absolutely, and it's been really fun watching them as we've had more or less a super week of VP games recently, and a lot of classic matchups to kick things off with Virtus.pro, NIP, Titan, Virtus.pro, and then we get into the crazy territory that is HellRaisers to kick off, or sorry, to end the broadcast rather. But yeah, let's check out the standings. This is where things get a little bit exciting because, of course, it's a bit bonkers, to be honest. There is so what we know right now. And bearing in mind, there are 5 matches left, and they're all being played tonight. What we know right now is that TSM, Envious, and NIP are all qualified, no matter what, so they're all safe at the top on the top 3 right now. TSM, Fnatic, and Envious. Sorry, NIP need 1 game today to qualify, and they're playing 2 games. So there is a pretty reasonable possibility that NIP should be able to qualify as well. But otherwise, there's about 8 combinations of results from today's matches that could create a draw of some kind, or like some kind of like 5-way tie, just crazy situations involving 5-way ties. So it's going to be really cool. We're going to have to update things constantly after each match to see how things are really actually panning out, but it's going to be very interesting. I don't think we've ever had a finish quite like this, so very, very cool stuff indeed. So what teams do you want to see make it? Because right now, of course, we know 3 are confirmed. Is there anything that you really badly want to see make it? It's unlikely Titan are going to make it. I'm not sure if you're a Titan fan, but...
It's difficult because when people ask me, who's your favorite team, I'm always like, well, I kind of sit on the fence and say I'm just a fan of good CS, right? And Titan are capable of playing some pretty fantastic CS. But as you said, they're in a tiny bit of a slump right now. I think it's safe to say. I think they're on 6 points at the bottom of the scoreboard, like pretty much rock bottom. Yeah. So I can't see them getting too much done. Again, I feel they're going to lose against VP on Train. That would be my early prediction. VP, I'm always a fan of VP. I want to see them claw their way to the top once more.
Nice. Well, we've got a lot of VP here today, 3 matches in fact. So let's do our Alpha Draft team, and I guess we'll probably end up picking quite a few VP players, considering that they are playing so many matches here. So, Mr. Producer Reese, let's get the Alpha Draft on the go. All right. So, okay, man. As have been in the studio. Actually, this is your first time in the studio, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So, as you're a newcomer to the studio, I'm going to give most of the responsibility here to you in picking our teams. Yesterday, we went with. We picked Old Men, and the day before we just picked Orpers. So let's see what the Natus flavor is. Which team should we select?
Right. Seeing as I just said that I would like VP to go the distance, and they're playing so many games, I feel VP would be a good place to start. And for me, on VP, you got to go Snacks. Right. The guy has been a monster. He was an absolute beast at Cluj, like just an unbelievable player. So he would be top of the list for me, right off the bat.
All right, any more VP players? They are quite expensive, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're... when it comes to these kind of situations, I feel like maybe Neo's a good pick as well, but when it comes to these kind of situations, you have to kind of assess, is the salary worth what they could potentially bring to the table? It's like the risk versus reward argument. So, yeah, they're worth a lot, but again, a VP going to show up? That's the question that's always in the back of my mind. Yeah,
they got Titan on Train, NIP on Cobblestone, and they have HellRaisers on Overpass. So they actually have, I mean, all the matches for them are going to be very tough. I like the Snacks Neo, especially Neo, because Neo's been doing very well, just generally speaking, even in the matches where they've been doing a little bit poorly on the result. He's performing and getting the frags. So I guess if we're going to pick VP, we might as well try to get a third Virtus.pro player, right?
Oh, man, 3rd player. Okay, I've got to go with my heart rather than my head, Pasha. But he's so expensive.
He's pretty
though.
expensive.
9,000 salary. Do you reckon it's worth just going like so hard into VP here?
I think maybe we should let's try Taz for now maybe, and then see
shout.
how much money we're left with, because
Yeah.
I think we can make a lot of bank from, or a lot of points from HellRaisers today. I've got a feeling.
I feel Taz is kind of criminally underrated as well as a player, to be completely honest. I think he's capable of dropping the big frags just alongside the likes of Snacks.
He's been doing better and better recently, that's for sure. And well, I'm going to throw in a couple picks here. I would be jumping into the end matches, more or less. HellRaisers will be playing Virtus.pro, and they'll be playing them twice. Overpass and Cash will be the maps. So I've got to throw in Oscar and Stiko. That's just... Oh, and Angel as well. so
you're going all in on HellRaisers.
Yeah, so this is actually quite funny because essentially we've got HellRaisers are playing against Virtus.pro. So in my picks, I'm basically trying to wreck you, and then this is not really how we should make a team.
Yeah.
But,
as one team, this kind of is counterproductive.
Yeah, it is.
Throw it out there. Unless we kind of get some crazy like quadruple overtime scenario. Would that even work? I don't even know, actually.
Oh no, it doesn't matter though. We slightly missed our chance, unfortunately. But I think producer Reese can actually get us in there. He has ways. All right, so now we've done out the draft, it's time to get the unicorn on the go, get some betting in there, and see if we can get some nice value bets going, and hopefully win back all the money that James lost. Because I try to be the voice of reason, but James is just gets too excited. So I don't know if you know anything about. I guess this is League. I don't know anything about League. This is League, right? Okay, I have no idea. Why would I know about League?
Yeah,
do you know anything about this?
Which character is from Demacia? I feel like that's Lux. I feel.
Oh, of course, you casted League, didn't you?
I casted
so
League
you should really know this question.
Yeah.
You should really know this.
I feel like it's Lux, but I could be wrong. It's been a while.
All right. Well, okay. Producer Reese is nodding. So, okay. I guess we'll see. He knows all the answers to everything. It's ridiculous. All right. Nice. So we have 10 unicorns. By the way, we had like 300 to 400 that me and Vendetta grinded up by making some really sensible bets and stuff like that. Then James is like, "Oh, let's bet all in the complexity twice." Yeah, thanks, James.
Get wrecked.
Thanks, James.
He did say before you got here that he's more YOLO than you, so I guess that's kind of summing that up nicely.
He's got the degenerate gambler mentality. I don't know, man. It's not going to be good long term. He really triggers me actually with that stuff. Anyway, moving on. Let's get our 10 unicorns on something. So what do we got here? What's looking good? Any particularly strong bets? I mean, I don't really want to throw anything on Titan personally because I don't see them beating anybody at the moment.
I mean, they could sneak a map today, but it's less likely, I would say, that's going to happen. So if you want to go like full on gambler mode, then maybe go Titan. If not, you're looking for more of a safe bet, is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess so. We've got to try to rebuild what has been destroyed by my counterpart, James. So I'm not sure which one, because obviously Titan are giving the best odds on pretty much all these matches.
If I was going to go super, safe, I'd go VP against Titan on train.
I'm liking the HellRaisers one actually against Virtus.pro. They absolutely destroyed.
Is that on Cash?
Yesterday, yeah.
Because HellRaisers, I was going to mention this later on in the day, HellRaisers are criminally underrated on Cash.
Yeah.
It's a map they're actually really good on, so they could definitely cause an upset there.
All right, well, let's see how the odds for the Cash one. Cash match. Okay, I guess it would be, is it that one? It is, yes, that's the one. So let's do it. Let's just go all in. All in. Producer Reese. There we go. We've got our value bets in there. All right, so speaking of all these players from our Alpha Draft picks, we threw Neo in there, we threw Angel in there as well. And these are also two players that we have for our player highlights of the day. And Neo is a guy that I've just been loving his resurgence and the fact that the team has been giving him more responsibility to basically show off his star power. Because obviously the guy is a complete legend and he's still really good. It's not, I mean, if you look at some of the older legends from 1.6, you're thinking people like Markloff, but Markloff is he's a source of disappointment in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say. But
Neo, not so much. So let's have a look at Neo and see what he's been up to lately in the FACEIT League. Of course, he's been picking up the AWP a lot. You're going to be seeing him with the AK here, but the thing is, his consistency on the AWP has been ridiculous. Ooh. Absolutely ridiculous. And that kind of consistency has been really helpful because I think in the times when Pasha was more of the dedicated AWP role, Pasha could be very explosive, but I think Neo lends more of the consistency that you really need. You can see this beautiful series of kills from the Major there. That legendary clip at this point from Neo. So great to see that he's performing much better and that he is actually in a better role as well. Any thoughts on Neo?
He's an interesting player. You know, him and Taz, they have a long relationship together. Like, they typically stick around, and they got kind of a love-hate relationship. I think Taz touched upon this in like one of the Cluj videos, where they don't always get on. They're not necessarily like the best of friends, but they somehow mesh. Neo is a guy who has also called for VP. Like, it's kind of weird, sporadic, that their team leader just seems to bounce here, there, and everywhere. But I agree. I think he's definitely starting to find some form, and he's the kind of player, you know, he was a god in 1.6, and if he even shows a fraction of what he's capable of tonight, he could just single-handedly destroy players. Like, he's an absolute beast, so definitely a player to watch out for.
All right, so we've got Angel's next highlight. Angel's quite a character. I really do love Angel, especially actually when we were casting at in Stockholm for the pre-Collision Poker qualifier. I remember a moment when he was playing. He sat next to Simple. He sat there, and he paused during the game to basically tell Simple with much more expletives than I'm going to use. When I speak, you listen. And that was the tactical timeout, was specifically for that reason, to basically try to discipline Simple. Obviously, he's a very, very big character in the team, and he's turned out to be quite a great leader for them, for HellRaisers as well. In this new edition of HellRaisers, we're also seeing more freedom for Angel, and he's the kind of player when you let him get going, his pistoling is almost unrivaled in many regards. He's always able to pull out crazy clutches, and he's always pretty fun, as he has a fondness for the Mac 10. So you'll often see him running around with a Mac 10, which is always good to open up the map. So yeah, I really like Angel as a player.
Yeah, a map that I think he shines on is Overpass. His T-side on Overpass, you just mentioned the Mac 10. On short in particular, he is just untouchable. His aggression is insane. His ability to get entry frags, second to none. So again, similar to Neo, I feel like they're very much confidence-based players. If they're feeling it, if they're feeling like in the rhythm, in the form, in the zone, you can guarantee they're probably going to drop a 30 or close to. If they're not, though, they get eerily quiet. And that's one of HellRaisers' issues. Like, they're kind of like VP light in the sense that they're very inconsistent. And they also have more players coming in. They've got Oscar and Styko. I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Styko.
Styko. Okay, sorry. So they've just pretty much joined the team quite recently, maybe a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago. And I'm curious how they're going to factor in. I also checked HLTV earlier and saw that their fifth player was undecided. I'm not sure if that's been filled in just yet, but
yesterday
that's kind of the problem, right?
Simple. They were very interested in Schneider, but there's something going on there. So Simple was there yesterday. I'm not sure if he's going to be there today because they're playing Overpass. So I'd like to see Simple quite a lot, because he fits their Overpass game very well. Just every time we've seen them play that map with Simple, it just works from a defensive aspect and also an offensive aspect. And speaking of Angel as well, on Overpass, I can't really count the amount of times when I've seen them force buy, and he just picks up like 5 kills with the CZ just to swing things back. It's pretty nuts. And indeed, NIP and Virtus.pro, that's going to be the first match of today. It's going to be on Cobblestone. And NIP, they haven't been doing, I mean, they've been, it's hard to really follow them in the last year or so, because it's been a lot of ups and downs. There's obviously been the drama, and Richard Lewis has been making quite a lot of articles, starting to shed some light on some more of the I guess the shady stuff that's behind the scenes that may have been affecting their play, and could potentially excuse some of the results that they've had. And also, it definitely speaks to them that they have shown such a degree of professionalism despite issues behind the scenes. So they've been playing better recently online. So I'm not sure how this is going to go with VP being in a bit of a slump themselves.
They are pretty much like the quintessential yo-yo team. As you say, up and down, seesaw, up and down all the time. They have ebbs and flows. They're capable, when they're all playing together, of being world beaters. When they're playing poorly, they get wrecked off pretty much everybody. So it's one of those other days, isn't it, where you're just like, I don't know. Their Cobblestone's not terrible. I think their Cobblestone has a lot of promise to it. They can definitely win today on Cobblestone. I could see that happening. But again, I feel like Alu's going to be a key integral part of their team. He's especially the kind of guy that he's either there or he's absolutely not. There's very little middle ground when it comes to Alu.
All right, and speaking of Alu, can confirm that Lufus made his way here. Saw him behind the glass there.
The Finnish connection is strong.
Yeah, so we can look forward to seeing Lufus later. He's made it to the studio. It's always very good. But yeah, Alu's been somebody that's was always quite an interesting change going in, because they did have a lot of options, and many people were actually expecting the likes of a Twist, for example, or even, I guess, potentially someone like Dennis. But they chose Alu, and Alu really bolstered them, and he's been delivering on maps like Train and Cobblestone very much. And so I look forward to that as well. Exist actually often tends to have good performances, I've noticed, for NIP on Cobblestone, because he's usually in the position, that very key position, to shut down the B rushes, essentially, like near the tree, basically, like outside of the drop zone towards the tree, not necessarily too committed towards B plateau, but generally kind of like the linchpin, more or less, of the B defense. So if he goes down, you know they're likely losing the site.
That's the thing, and when you've got a player of his caliber, when it comes to shot calling, when it comes to game sense, if he's in a pivotal area like that and he can make on-the-fly, very quick calls, that really can turn the tides in your favor, right? Because if suddenly the rush comes in, he can instantly call, everyone moves around, win the round, shut out performance. So yeah, I definitely think that's a map where Exist will shine, not just in how he's playing, but also behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Virtus.pro goes, I used to think that they were one of the better the better Cobblestone teams. You know, Cobblestone, Train. They in fact, they historically, even when Cobblestone was just horribly broken and just honestly just horrendous in every single way, and then before Valve changed it, they loved it. Taz, I mean, I'm not sure if they all loved it, but Taz, I think, was forcing them to play it and forcing them to love it. So it was a map that they adopted very early on. So and then also in that sense, Virtus.pro have a lot of cool tactics that are quite innovative. We've seen a lot of new boosts from them actually on various maps. But they had, I think there was a clip on Global Offensive recently where the CTs had, you know, typically as they would smoke the bottom of the CT ramp down middle on towards the A site, and we had, I'm not sure which, I think it was someone was boosting Neo, and they're kind of walking together whilst he was scoped in to try to see over the smoke and kind of peek over the smoke. Very, very cool, innovative stuff coming out from Virtus.pro and Cobblestone. So we can look to hopefully see more of that.
They're typically a team that picks up, you know, the custom maps very quickly. Overpass was another map where they went headfirst into. Train was, as well as you mentioned, Cobblestone. They're one of the first teams as well that kind of brought out, at least from what I saw watching demos and such, the boost onto the tree spot as well, and that really caught teams off guard for the first couple of times they played it. And then he developed a Molotov which landed on the tree spots. They're able to then counteract that boost. So they're a team that are constantly trying to shift the dynamics when it comes to these maps. And Cobblestone, if we go full circle, yeah, they are a team that can definitely get a lot of rounds, especially on the T side. I think the T side is stronger than the CT side actually, which is starting to maybe become the meta now as time goes on. But again, it's down to Exist, I feel. Alu and Exist. If one of those two can step up big, there's a real chance here, I feel, for NIP. If they're both quiet, though, I think this could be a landslide.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've also seen recently is, of course, you know, Freiburg has been the focus of a lot of flack for the team because people suspect that his results have not been as they should, and I think there's a legitimate argument for that. No matter what's happening behind the scenes, he's been underperforming, and but you know, one of the reasons why we're starting to see a bit of an online resurgence as far as NIP's results go is because Freiburg's actually been delivering a little bit, and I think we'll typically see Freiburg, if I'm not mistaken, towards A long actually, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah.
So that might not be the best place for him to get too many frags. Often, like, players in that position can be a little bit neglected. It very much depends on the other team, but yeah, I'm very curious to see how Freiburg's doing, because that's going to be a really big sign of how NIP will fare today, because Forest has been delivering fairly consistently for the team.
I feel like people just typically pay too much attention to kills and deaths, and they don't look at the bigger picture, because especially on A long, if the B takes keep coming in, it's a horrendous site to retake from an A long perspective on CT side. Like, it's brutal. Yeah. If you've got 5 T's still alive and you're like a 2v5 retake, lights out, you're done. So you can't necessarily look at Freiburg, oh, he's got 10 kills and 20 deaths. If B keeps collapsing all the time, it's not really his fault, but people just look way too hard when it comes to kills and deaths. So I would like to kind of focus more towards his you know, direct perspective and what he's doing. If he can get the frags, if he's going to push aggressively, if VP keep going B, is he going to try and wrap himself around the back and cause issues? Like, these are the key moments, I feel, which he sometimes does on Inferno. You know, the King of Banana wasn't just because he got frags there, it's because he was also very aggressive. They started to smoke down the bottom, hide very close, and then if the A call was called very quickly, they just came around the back and started to destroy the T. So there's a lot more different dynamics, I feel, than just, oh, he has like 10 kills and 20 deaths.
Yeah, and there's also that the other factor which can be about how well a CT player can actually delay a push, and areas like A long on Cobblestone is another example where you want to basically stagger the push, force them to use smokes and flashes to try to push you back and ultimately give your team a lot more time to get in position to defend the rush when it comes in. So even if you've gotten 1 frag, or sometimes even 0 kills, if you've actually delayed them enough, you've actually done your job, because again, as you say, it's not always about the kills. If you can lock them in the choke point, get the CTs in the site when the execute's already coming in, then that's going to be a much better or successful site hold for your team. So
I feel CS is such a domino effect as well, because let's just hypothetically say the long player is pushing around now and again, he catches people from behind. That therefore draws 2 or 3 players to maybe just sit in mid from a terrace perspective and just watch for that push. It stops the fast B pushes coming in, so it has this knock-on effect again. So again, I feel it's going to be very interesting to see how this game comes to fruition between these 2 teams.
I think that the knife has gone live, so we should be jumping to the match relatively soon. Of course, we had I think an issue with one of the servers, so they decided to switch servers so they can get some better ping, something to that extent. So that's why we've had a little bit of an extra delay. But they'll be jumping in very shortly, and I for one am very excited to start today's games. We have so many cool games, and again, with 8 different combinations of results that can end up in various like 5-way ties. It's going to be ridiculous. I have no idea what's going to even happen. Of course, we know that TSM, MVS, and Fnatic are qualified, and NIP, they just need to win 1. So maybe they could win this match, and then they could be done. They'd be like, well, okay, we've done it, guys. We've actually qualified. They won't have to worry anymore. But if they don't manage to do it against VP, they're playing Titan later on Cash, which should be quite good for them, considering Titan's form.
Yeah. Although I think Titan quite decent in Cash. Like, they're not a team that are necessarily going to be world beaters, I would say, even on their day. But then again, NIP certainly fall into that same category as well. So I think this first game is going to be very telling to which NIP's going to show up today, up against VP. So I think we're still just waiting to jump into the knife round. So when it comes to Cobblestone, in terms of knife round, where do you sit on this? Which side do you think is slightly favoured? Because it depends on who you ask, really. Some people say still T-sided, some people say T-sided. What kind of scoreline would you be expecting, like an 8-7 or something?
I'd say something like around 9-6.
9-6.
I think it can be quite T-sided at the moment. I think it's very hard. Pretty much all the dynamics around the drop zone and B plateau, and I think that there's so many ways for the Ts to get edges, and for the CTs to effectively defend against a lot of these edges that the Ts can quite easily get. It's the odds on some of the engagements aren't nearly as in favor, and your economy is so fragile. It's a bit like Inferno in that sense, where you need the nades, you need the smokes, you need the flashes, you need the incendiaries. You've got to be able to delay them, because as we were saying before, a lot of it's about delaying the push. Once you've got the information of where the attack is coming, you've got to try to delay it. The best way to do that is with grenades, and then you can get people in position, and you can have a better defense. So it's such a tightrope that you walk economically, I think, for the CT side, that it's I feel it's quite T-sided at the moment, especially with a team like Virtus.pro with their ruthless aggression. We'll have to see how that comes into play. I mean, and I remember talking to which player was it? It was at Stockholm, actually. I think it was Nitro, actually, from Liquid, and he was saying he's saying like how he hasn't encountered a team yet that really has like a solved or it's a solution essentially for the B split, essentially. Like it seems inconsistent. There's no real solution, because it's so hard. It can be so hard to deal with, and there's so much chaos. We'll see like sometimes CTs jumping into the smoke. It's not exactly a consistent way to defend something. Is I'm going to jump into the smoke and see who I can get behind. That there's a lot of crazy chaos in the B defenses. So.
Yeah, and especially if you're going through smoke and you're just hoping, crossing your fingers for the timing, it's kind of gimmicky as well. Like if you keep doing that, the terrorists will just sit back and wait for the smoke to clear. You can throw in a Molotov as well, in a little alcove on B platform, draw out the CTs, get the frag, and then from there on in, it should be pretty easy picking. So yeah, I agree. I think it is T-sided. I feel like VP, if NIP's economy does start to crumble, they'll be a team that is very, very capable of just jumping down the throat of that and just absolutely brutalizing that economy. So it's important for NIP, I say, the pistol round here on the CT side for them. Obviously, this is if they start on the CT side, which I believe they might be judging from the server where we have just jumped into right now. I feel this pistol round is actually quite important for NIP. They need to start this off as smoothly as possible.
Absolutely. We will have